AITA for not removing the Disney items from my house? My 35F husband, 38M, and I are what you would call Disney adults. We used to work for the parks in college and met there. For us, it has sentimental value as well as being something we both loved from childhood. Now, we are conscious to not be those Disney adults. We can hold conversations outside the movies and parks. We both work well-paying jobs. Unrelated to the company. We have other hobbies and interests. Our son isn't big on Disney and we're cool with that. It is just something that we enjoy, as well as our daughters. We nurture all the children's hobbies and interests. We also don't blow all our money on this stuff. I know I may sound overly defensive, but we get a lot of comments from people who don't know us well. Anyway, we live in a renovated farmhouse on a bit of land that includes a barn that we finished off, with hopes to make it a guest house one day. In the meanwhile, we've had a relative get married here and it was gorgeous. Now my sister, 28F, wants to get married on our property and we were all for it. Everything's been planned for months and the wedding is in June. It's set to be outside completely, but if it rains, we can move the party into the barn. The only reason a guest would have to go in our house is to use the bathroom. We have 2 on the first floor. The only Disney items are Winnie the Pooh hand towels. I told my sister I'd replace them with regular ones. Wedding space has no Disney items. However, she wants me to take down everything Disney on the first floor of my home, as guests will see. We have a lot of Disney items, pictures, paintings, blankets, Funko Pops, decorations, figurines, dishware, etc., all made for adults and a lot of it subtle or vintage, but you can still tell it's Disney. 1. This would be a massive undertaking. It's not as simple as shoving stuff in a closet. We'd have to pack it up and find a place to store. The sheer amount would require at least 2 hours of packing, not to mention storage and unpacking after. 2. It's ridiculous to me. Who cares if people see? She says it looks tacky and she doesn't want people to remember her wedding for that. I told her no, we're decorating the outside and barn as she wants. We're letting her use our property for free, which she keeps bragging about to friends as it's saving them a ton. When my husband and I stood firm, she whined to our parents who told us to grow up and take it down. AITA for telling my sister that a comment she made is exactly why her marriage crashed and burned. My sister has been staying with my husband and I, men in our late 20s, for the last week and some change. She and her husband have initiated the divorce process and she said she doesn't want to stay alone right now, which I completely understand. It would be very hard to go from living with a partner to a completely silent house. I opened our home to her before I found out why her marriage didn't work out. Now that the two of you had multiple conversations about it, I'm a little uncomfortable. There was no infidelity. There was no big scandal. What she told me is that her husband wasn't having sex with her enough. The things she has been saying have floored me. She says without sex, the two of them were basically just like roommates. She said she had been pushing for him to get a hormone imbalance test done because while they were still having sex, it wasn't enough. She said he had begun resisting even normal touches from her because from his perspective, all she thought about was sex, which apparently isn't true. I'm not sure I believe that. I can elaborate in the comments, but overall it just left me feeling sad for her ex, and the disrespect of saying ex is the only thing that separates a partner from a roommate. Not even a friend. I've done my best to be supportive, but I can't relate to the thought process at all. If my partner told me tomorrow that he wasn't up for X for the next few weeks, months, or longer, I would just take care of myself and respect that. I love him. And I want him to be the person I do life with forever. This all came to a head last night. My husband Andy were having a typical lazy Saturday night, catching up on some shows and chatting while we lounge on the couch. His legs were in my lap and I was kind of absent-mindedly massaging his feet and rubbing his ankles. This was an innocent gesture. My sister came in, saw me doing it, and made a joke along the lines of, I didn't know you wearing toe feet, or, I didn't know you had a foot fetish. The exact wording escapes me. I couldn't help but feel put off at her sexualizing the gesture. Intimacy can be sexual, but it doesn't have to be. I told her so, and then said, referring to her divorce, you sexualizing every interaction is why you're in the situation you are now. She called me a ick and left the room. I already know it was a little harsh, but I'm unsure if it was tough love or too much. AITA. Edit. I appreciate everyone's recommendation, but Ito not like the dead bedroom sub. See my comment there where I elaborate on why. AITA for making my daughter and her wife sleep in different rooms? I am asking here because a friend told me to. My daughter, 31F, her wife, 33F, and their son, 5M, live in a different state. I, 60F, always am one who goes to visit them in their house because of my DIL's busy work schedule. My daughter said she wanted to come and see me honor old friends with her family. They are currently renovating their house. They have a house in our city and usually stay there when they rarely do come over, and my daughter asked me if they could stay with me. I said of course. When they arrived, I mentioned I had prepared each of them a different room. One for my daughter, one for Dill, and one for my grandson. My daughter said I was being unreasonable and that she wanted to sleep in the same room as her wife. I said I made her brother and his wife do the same thing when they visited and they never complained. My daughter told my Dill to arrange for a hotel. I was really hurt by her decision and said I hope he'd just stay, and it was a few days. She said she hadn't slept apart from her wife for the past 9 years and wasn't going to start doing that now. They left and stayed at the hotel. My daughter is still kind of cold to me, and my friends think I acted like an was AITA for calling out my mom on social media for abandoning me on my birthday. Context: I just turned 21 years old last month and I've spent the last few birthdays by myself, duetto being in college. About a month before my birthday, my mom and I are sitting in the living room when she asks me, "What do you want to do for your birthday this year?" I told her that it didn't matter as long as I got to spend it with her, seeing as I was away at college for the last 2 years. I took a year off to help with family and to take care of my mental health. A week later, she tells me that she found a VR place that was open for my birthday and made reservations for us to go, which I was ecstatic about. She knew how much I loved VR, and her making the reservation was a good thing. A few days before my birthday, she calls me from her job and tells me she canceled our reservation to go on a date night with her boyfriend. When I asked her why, she said it was the only day they could get a table for the restaurant. I told her she had made a promise to spend my birthday with me and now she's breaking it. She then said to get over it and spend the day with my GF. My GF works for a cruise line and ice out of country until July. I ended up spending my birthday alone and made a post on social media calling my mom out for abandoning me on a milestone birthday. My family is now divided. Half are siding with me, and the others are saying I'm selfish. Andy went too far making the post. I haven't taken it down yet. So, am I the AmItheAsshole here? Small disclaimer. This is a pattern of hers thought has been going on since I was 12. Whether it's my birthday, a competition, or an important event of mine, this always happened. Just thought I'd add a little clarification. And for the people in the comments calling me her daughter, I'm her son. Heronly's son. AITA for refusing to sit next to this man? F30s was riding an almost empty train. There were maybe 5 or 6 people in the whole carriage. I sat in a 4-seater, 2 seats on one side, 2 across, and spread out my stuff, put my jacket on the seat across from me and put my feet on it so that the seat wouldn't get touched by my socks. IFIT matters. It was early in the morning and I had been wearing these socks for less than an hour. My shoes are also clean as I alternate 2 pairs daily to let them dry out between uses. A guy in guess his late 40s or maybe early 50s entered the train, came straight to me and said, "Move your bag." I was puzzled since there was plenty of free seats to go around, so I asked if he really wanted this particular seat and he said yes. So I picked up my bag. He plopped down next to me and I proceeded to pack up my laptop, drink, jacket, put on my shoes and move to a different 4-seater. I spread out again. Before I could even get my shoes off, the dude was standing in front of me and said, "Move your bag." I asked why. He said that he wanted to sit there. He answered that he had been wanting that certain seat. That I vacated for him, so I don't see why he would want to switch seats. He scoffed and explained that it was not about the specific seat but about entitled people who think their bags deserve a seat. I told him that I moved once for him and wouldn't move again. He made a movement as if he wanted to grab my bag and I raised my voice saying, "Don't you ucking dare." He started lamenting about entitled people again. I told him, "I moved for you. There are hundreds of free seats on this train, sit somewhere else." He called me an asshole and went back to his seat. Then he called someone on his phone, or acted like it, who knows, and proceeded to loudly complain about entitled itches. To be clear, when a train fee up, I of course gather my stuff and vacate seats around me so that others can sit. But I don't see why I should let some rondo boss me around and invade my personal space for no reason. and #x200b. Edit. I am having a good laugh about all the people commenting on me putting very clean socks on my reasonably clean jacket, while of course instead there must be only Utz on seats, and as we all know, Utz are so much more hygienic than feet. I seem to have pinpointed that it's considered bad manners in some cultures, maybe in the US where a lot of users are coming from. In my culture it is not considered bad manners, so I will not be taking your advice of, keep your AMN shoes on, to heart laughing face. My question was also about refusing to let the SIT guy next to me and not across from me, so I am really amused by so many people focusing on that. So, I will be ignoring all shoe-related comments, but of course if your heart so desires, please let it all out, and #x200b. Edit 2. Okay, now people are sliding into my DMs and asking for pictures of my feet. What have I done, laughing face?